All right, good afternoon, everyone. Happy Friday to you guys. What a crazy day on the markets today. A lot of fear, of course. Pretty much Russia news dominated the headlines throughout most of the day and the pre-market. You can see the action is here. Here the pre-market jumped up, gapped up, filled the gap, and all the way down we go today. All right, so I wanted to drop this quick video and just to talk about Q, kind of overall sentiment going into next week. We do have earnings. I'll talk about I'm going to publish charts tomorrow morning on several tickers that I'm looking at for next week. That would include DDOG, Q, Tesla, Facebook. BABA has earnings next week. PayPal, boy, is PayPal ever going to recover? Twilio, MU, I know we're holding MU. TDOC has earnings next week. Moderna has earnings next week. Fubo has earnings next week. Square has earnings next week as well. So it should be a fun-filled week again. Short week, though. Just remember, we're off on Monday, so don't be hitting up the chats wondering why the markets ain't running. Okay, so let's talk about QQQ and what we did today. So, it's a Friday, and typically we play 0 DTEs. On Fridays because it's most volatile and good, very very nice games, right? So in the first, just remember, like the first part of the day, you want to find some direction in the market, right? I mean, yeah, I know the sentiment was certainly that we were going to go down, but I didn't know we were going to hit the lower 340s, but that was good. I knew we were going to on a downward trend, but I didn't think it was going to be that dramatic, and it ended up being very dramatic. So I want to talk about just reading regular candles and also reading Ashi candles, because I think it can help you guys calm some nerves when things bounce a little bit. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is remember to watch NASDAQ. Okay, and NASDAQ on a 5-minute chart, I'm going to switch over to 5-minute chart. It did this again today. Okay, it did finally break out. And then when I noticed that was the time to exit our puts, right? Because you don't want to give away the profits. But it was doing one of these higher lows or lower highs, and lower lows. For sure, when we were in this kind of pattern, I felt very comfortable to hold the puts throughout most of the day until it did finally reverse and jumped up. And we'll go back to that right now. All right. So when we start moving on the downside, the red candles, regular candles, will always kind of give you a little bit misfires. Okay, you got a hammer reversal possibly. Maybe you got scared a little bit here, or maybe you got scared a little bit here when it jumped up, or maybe you got scared right here. Now, if you're scalping, I think it's totally doable, but I'm looking for bigger moves on the downside. I'm willing to be more patient riding the chart out. Now, if once we hit this low point of 339.14 this afternoon, I decided to go ahead and scale out most of my positions, but I did sell at each low that I anticipated it was going to make. So each low you can scale out. When it jumps back up, all you got to do is remember the Ripster clouds, right? The EMA 9, 15, 34, 50. The Q for all of today, most of today, up until about I want to say 10:30 or about 10:15 a.m. Pacific time today. That was when it actually climbed out of the 9 and 15 and the 34.50 clouds. When it started to reach past the 9 and 15 EMAs, I decided to get out of that trade. And that was about right here on this candle. I didn't want to risk any more of my profits, all right, holding on to these puts. But I'm totally okay when a couple of things happen today, all right? Here, you'll see these, it comes down here at about 340, jumps up to about 342, makes a lower low, and then jumps up again, lower high. When you're in these type of situations, just hang on. You know what I mean? Just don't worry too much about it. Maybe go take a walk, maybe walk your dog or something like that. Because typically these type of bounces, it didn't blow past the 9 and 15. It actually got really choppy around 9 and 15, upper wick showing up. Okay. And that's when I realized, all right, this is just a fake out. There's no volume. Look at this volume here. And if you look at this jump here, no volume either. So I'm okay holding on to the puts, let it go on, let it run red for a few minutes and relax. And then guess what it did? And then dumped down at 339.09 or 339.14 at the lows. Now, I did not play the call side, although it would have been profitable, but because I know that instinctively, given the situation in the world right now and the headlines, I know any pump is gonna be very short lived. It did not make back to the HOD, right? The HOD was 340, 346.81. It didn't even come close, but it got rejected here at the moving average, this blue line, moving average 205-minute chart, and then it failed once. Okay, I didn't want to buy puts right away. Just you got to slow down the entries. And boom, it tried the moving average 200 the second time, gave you a gravestone doji, and that was my put entry going into the rest of the day. And I'm still holding some. I'm glad I did, because now it's at 339.40, approaching the low of the day, obviously because of the news that's going on. But if I switch this over to Ashi candles, all right, remember I taught you guys Ashi candles. Look at this. Look how dramatically different your chart looks. When you have no upper wicks on any of these candles, it's a safe time to buy more puts if you want to scale into the puts for the day. Okay, because this started to look like last Friday. Now, on the way up, you start to notice, yes, there was two clear candles, Asha candles with no legs, okay, no wicks, no bottom wicks, okay? And then the lower and upper wicks started showing up more prominently. And guess what? Volume is low. The bodies are getting smaller. Hang on to the puts, okay? Maybe you want to scale off some. That's up to you, all right? But then the red immediately took over. Once again, bounces, nice, okay? Look, I mean, every 4 or 5 red candles, you're going to get a little bit of bounce. Stay with the puts, okay? And don't get too worried unless it pulls a dramatic reversal. And this was a pretty dramatic reversal here. And so once you start seeing this pattern, when it breaks over to 9 and 15 EMAs, then okay, well, it's time to go. But if it struggles like this, look at this. You see these upper wicks by the 15 EMA with the coffee tan line right here. When it starts to give into pressure, selling pressure here, I know it's a good time to hold the puts and just walk away from the screen for a bit. All right. And then finally, clear cut candles above the 9 and 15. All right, it's time to go. And then we can come back to this. Now, what was this buy signal for me today after the jump to moving average 200? Got rejected twice. Fantastic. All right. Now you got a reversal doji on the uptrend with this red Asha candle. That was a good entry. And then we rode it all the way down, jump back up, whatever. Now it's 339.42. So I want you guys to focus next week, whatever calls we're in, whether we're playing the upside or the downside, just stick with the trade. Don't panic. Don't hit the rooms. Be like, oh, well, I just lost. No, what you did was you were very impatient, okay? You got to be patient when you're playing with the indices, that they move a little bit differently than equities, all right? Or regular stocks like, CGM, Fubo, et cetera. But this wasn't a clear downtrend all day. It finally did reverse, of course, market rally, right? A little bit of rally before, so bears don't get too comfortable, right? And then finally back down. Here we go. So 339.40 last check on QQQ. So with that being said, I hope this video is helpful, and I'll see you guys next week, and I'll drop some charts early tomorrow morning. You know me, working on the weekend like usual. Ladies and gentlemen, the weekend. All right, guys. See you guys Monday.